In today's era, when most of the countries in the world are struggling with increasing population and rapidly increasing number of immigrants, there are some countries which are deporting immigrants in large quantities to save the culture and economy of their country. The treatment of immigrants and deportation policies vary by country, and deportations or forced returns often depend on factors like immigration status, criminal history, asylum status, or changes in local laws. While it's challenging to list exact numbers without real-time data, here are 10 countries that have seen significant deportations of immigrants in recent years or have adopted stricter policies regarding migrants. So in today's video, we are going to show you 10 countries that are kicking out immigrants from their country in large numbers. But before starting the video, I want to request we put our best efforts to create our every single video. So please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start. Number 10. Russia. Russia contains Europe's longest river, the Volga, and its largest lake, Ladoga. Russia also is home to the world's deepest lake, Baikal, and the country recorded the world's lowest temperature outside the North and South Poles. The inhabitants of Russia are quite diverse. As of the 2021 census, the population of Russia was 147.2 million. In 2023 and 2024, Russia has been accused of forcibly deporting large numbers of people, particularly from occupied Ukrainian territories, as part of its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. The forced deportations primarily involved civilians, including children, who were relocated from areas like the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions to Russian territory. The Russian Interior Ministry reported nearly 93,000 people were deported from Russia, in a 53% rise from the same time last year. Russia sought to consolidate its control over Ukrainian territories by removing populations that might resist Russian occupation. Deporting civilians can reduce the chances of local resistance or insurgencies against Russian rule in these regions. Some reports suggest that Russia aimed to repopulate areas of Ukraine with more pro-Russian civilians, either by relocating loyalist populations into those areas or by diluting Ukrainian national identity in the region. Deporting Ukrainians and replacing them with Russian citizens is a form of demographic manipulation to make future annexation or control easier. By deporting a large portion of the population, Russia can potentially create future leverage in negotiations. The presence of displaced Ukrainians inside Russian territory may serve as a bargaining chip in diplomatic talks, particularly in cases where Russia might seek to exchange prisoners or refugees. The mass deportations have contributed to the humanitarian crisis caused by the war, drawing sharp criticism and raising concerns about the long-term consequences for the individuals affected, especially children separated from their families and communities. Number 9. Turkey. Turkey is best known for its rich cultural heritage, historical sites, and unique blend of Eastern and Western influences. Key highlights include the ancient city of Troy, the stunning Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, and the natural wonders of Pamukkale, making Turkey a top destination for history and culture enthusiasts. Turkey is home to over 85 million people. However, in the last few years, it has been seen that the Turkish government is deporting a large number of immigrants. According to Human Rights Watch or HRW, Turkish authorities deported over 100,000 Syrians and other people between January and December 2023, and by the month of September in 2024, this figure has doubled. In 2023 and 2024, Turkey significantly increased deportations, primarily targeting irregular migrants, particularly Syrian refugees, Afghans, Pakistanis, and others. Turkey hosts one of the largest refugee populations in the world, with around 3.7 million registered Syrian refugees. Over time, public sentiment has shifted, and anti-refugee rhetoric has gained traction due to economic challenges, unemployment, and social tensions. Many Turkish citizens, especially in urban areas, began to view refugees as a burden on resources like housing, jobs, and public services. The 2023 presidential and parliamentary elections saw increased political pressure on the government to address these concerns. Both major political parties promised stricter immigration controls and deportations in response to rising nationalist sentiment. Turkey's economic difficulties, including high inflation and unemployment, fueled frustration over the presence of refugees and migrants. The public demanded that the government prioritize Turkish citizens in employment and social services. The government's response included scaling back refugee protection and increasing deportations. Turkey, due to its geographic position, is a key transit country for migrants heading to Europe from the Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa. As part of its migration agreements with the European Union, Turkey has been responsible for managing and preventing irregular migration into Europe. Increasing deportations is one way Turkey has demonstrated that it is taking action on this front. In 2023, the Turkish government also ramped up patrols and deportation efforts along its borders, particularly against Afghan migrants arriving through Iran. Turkey, due to its geographic position, is a key transit country for migrants heading to Europe from the Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa. As part of its migration agreements with the European Union, Turkey has been responsible for managing and preventing irregular migration into Europe. Increasing deportations is one way Turkey has demonstrated that it is taking action on this front. The government has also linked deportations to efforts to combat terrorism, particularly from regions like Syria. Number 8. India. India is famous for its rich cultural heritage, historical monuments like the Konark Sun Temple, vibrant festivals and spiritual destinations. The country's natural landscapes from the Himalayas to Kerala's backwaters, and bustling cities like Delhi and Mumbai also attract numerous tourists. The population of India was 1,417 million in 2023, compared to 1,291 million a decade earlier. This makes it the most populated country in the world, surpassing China. India saw a rise in deportations in 2023, largely due to political, security, and demographic factors. The deportations primarily targeted irregular migrants, including Rohingya refugees from Myanmar, Bangladeshi nationals, and other undocumented migrants. The number of Bangladeshis deported in 2023 could range from tens of thousands to over 100,000, depending on how deportation efforts are reported. India shares a long and porous border with Bangladesh, and many deportations occurred along the border states. Migrants from African nations, Afghanistan and Nepal have also faced deportation, though in much smaller numbers compared to Rohingya and Bangladeshi nationals. India has justified many deportations on the grounds of national security. The Indian government has expressed concerns over illegal migration from Bangladesh and Rohingya refugees, who are often portrayed as potential security threats. The Rohingya, a stateless minority fleeing persecution in Myanmar, have faced increasing hostility in India, with authorities accusing them of being involved in illegal activities or associating with extremist groups, though evidence for such claims is often limited. The ruling Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP has prioritized issues of national security and cultural identity, with a strong focus on curbing illegal migration. The party, particularly in states like Assam and West Bengal, has taken a tough stance against illegal immigrants, who they claim alter the demographic balance in certain regions. The BJP has also faced pressure from nationalist groups who argue that illegal migrants, particularly from Bangladesh, pose cultural and religious threats to India's identity. Number 7. United Kingdom. It has the world's 5th biggest economy, is a nuclear power, and holds a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. It has vibrant cities, scenic beauty, magnificent cathedrals, museums and castles, and 2 prestigious universities, Cambridge and Oxford. The country had an estimated population of nearly 69.6 million people in 2024. In 2023, the United Kingdom saw a significant increase in deportations, driven by several factors, including its focus on curbing irregular immigration, enforcing stricter immigration policies, and addressing public and political pressures related to migration. Estimates suggest that the UK deported between 10,000 and 20,000 people in 2023, including those deported due to illegal immigration, visa overstays, failed asylum claims and criminal activity. But these are not any official figures, but some experts say that after the change of government in the UK, these figures are around 200,000 which have not been leaked to the world yet. After leaving the European Union or Brexit, the UK government introduced new immigration rules to regain control over its borders and reduce immigration numbers, a major promise made during the Brexit campaign. The focus shifted from EU freedom of movement to a points-based immigration system that favored skilled workers. But the UK also sought to address the growing issue of irregular migration and asylum seekers crossing the English Channel. Deportations became a key part of the UK's post-Brexit immigration strategy, particularly for individuals who had overstayed their visas, entered the UK illegally, or failed to meet asylum requirements. The UK also increased deportations of foreign nationals with criminal records. Under the UK's immigration laws, non-British citizens who commit serious crimes can be deported after serving their sentences. The government prioritized deporting individuals who were considered a threat to public safety, and these deportations were often used as a way to demonstrate the government's commitment to law and order. Number 6. France. France is mainly known for its wine, fashion, and culture. However, there are multiple other factors, like its monuments and architecture, which contribute to its popularity across the globe. In 2024, the total population of France amounted to over 68 million. France deported approximately 30,000 to 40,000 people in 2023, marking a substantial increase compared to previous years. The figures for 2024 have not been released yet, but it is expected that these figures will increase significantly in 2024. A large number of those deported were irregular migrants, including individuals whose asylum applications were denied. Migrants from North African countries such as Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia made up a significant portion of the deportees, as France improved cooperation with these nations on repatriation efforts. France's increased deportations have drawn criticism from human rights organizations and activists. Groups such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have expressed concern about the deportation of asylum seekers to countries where they may face persecution or unsafe conditions. The government has also been accused of violating the rights of migrants by accelerating deportation procedures and failing to provide adequate legal recourse for those affected. However, the French government maintains that its actions are necessary to address illegal immigration, national security risks, and public discontent over the country's migration system. The increase in deportations reflects France's attempt to balance domestic political pressures with its international obligations. Number 5. Italy. As a cultural superpower, Italy has long been a renowned center of art, music, literature, cuisine, fashion, science, and technology, and the source of multiple inventions and discoveries. As of January 2024, Italy's population is estimated to be around 59 million people. This is a decrease from 60.3 million a decade earlier. In 2023, Italy saw a significant increase in deportations, driven by a combination of political, social, and security factors. Italy, as one of the primary entry points for migrants into Europe, particularly from North Africa, has long struggled with irregular migration and has faced increasing political pressure to address the issue more aggressively. Italy likely deported between 25,000 and 30,000 people in 2024, marking a sharp increase compared to previous years. This includes both irregular migrants and individuals deported due to criminal activity or national security concerns. A large portion of those deported were nationals from North African countries, particularly Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. Italy worked closely with these countries to expedite the deportation of their citizens, focusing on those who entered illegally or who had criminal records. Thousands of foreign nationals who had been convicted of crimes or were associated with criminal organizations, such as human trafficking or drug smuggling networks, were also deported. These deportations were framed as part of Italy's efforts to improve public safety and combat organized crime. Under Meloni's leadership, the government prioritized deporting individuals who entered illegally or posed a security threat. Meloni's tough rhetoric on migration, including promises to defend Italy's borders, resonated with segments of the Italian public, particularly amid rising anti-immigrant sentiment. Deportations were viewed as a key strategy to demonstrate the government's commitment to its campaign promises. In recent years, public attitudes toward migrants have hardened in Italy, driven by fears of rising crime, unemployment, and social tensions in areas where large numbers of migrants have settled. These concerns, amplified by right-wing parties and media, have created a political environment in which deportations are seen as necessary to restore public order and control migration. Number 4. Australia. Australia's ecosystem is an unusual one because of its remote location. As a result, there are many animal species that occur here and nowhere else in the world, such as the platypus, kangaroo, echidna, and koala. Australia has 516 national parks to protect its unique plants and animals. Australia's population grew by 2.3% to 27.1 million people in March 2024, according to the latest figures released today by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. There isn't much information about the number of people deported from Australia in 2024, but after a lot of searching, we found some figures. Overall, estimates suggest that Australia deported between 5,000 and 10,000 people in 2023, including criminal deportations, visa overstayers, and individuals who entered the country illegally. The exact number can fluctuate based on government reporting and the particular focus of immigration enforcement efforts during the year. Australia has some of the most stringent immigration laws globally, particularly under its Migration Act, which allows the government to cancel visas and deport non-citizens under various circumstances. Non-citizens can be deported for committing serious crimes, failing to meet visa requirements, or being deemed a threat to public safety. One of the main drivers of increased deportations in Australia is the government's use of Section 501 of the Migration Act. This section allows the government to cancel visas and deport non-citizens who fail the character test, which typically applies to those convicted of crimes or involved in activities considered a threat to public safety. In addition to deporting criminals, Australia increased efforts to deport individuals who overstayed their visas or entered the country illegally. Many of these individuals came from countries in Asia and the Pacific region, arriving on temporary visas but failing to leave after their visas expired. The government has been cracking down on these visa overstayers, emphasizing border integrity and the enforcement of immigration rules. Number 3. Germany. Germany is known for many things, including its detailed morphology, which has a significant impact on the climate, hydrology, and soils of the country. These factors in turn affect the vegetation and agricultural use of the land. A good 84.4 million people were living in Germany at the end of 2022, according to the Federal Statistical Office. Germany deported around 13,000 to 15,000 people in 2023, representing an increase over prior years. These figures include both individuals deported for failed asylum applications and those deported due to criminal activity or other reasons related to national security. No official figure of deportation has been released in August 2024, but according to some media sites, this figure may exceed 100,000 in 2024. A large proportion of those deported were rejected asylum seekers, particularly from countries where the chances of being granted asylum are relatively low, such as North African countries, the Western Balkans, and other regions where conflicts have subsided. One of the main reasons for increased deportations in Germany was the enforcement of decisions on rejected asylum applications. Many individuals whose asylum claims were denied were living in the country without legal status, and the government prioritized their deportation. Germany's deportation policies have been met with criticism from human rights organizations and migration advocates. Despite these challenges, the German government has emphasized that deportations are necessary to uphold the rule of law and maintain control over the country's immigration system. Number 2. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is considered the birthplace of Islam, and is home to Islam's holiest cities Mecca and Medina. Muslims are required to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj, at least once in their lifetime. As of 2023, the population of Saudi Arabia was 32.2 million people. This is an increase from 27.6 million people a decade earlier. In 2023, it is estimated that Saudi Arabia deported around 500,000 to 700,000 people, continuing the high deportation numbers seen in previous years. Many of those deported were undocumented foreign workers or individuals who had overstayed their visas. When the figures for 2024 are released, I expect them to be much higher. The majority of those deported were foreign nationals from countries with large expatriate communities in Saudi Arabia, including Yemen, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt, and the Philippines. Many deportations were carried out through coordinated repatriation agreements between Saudi Arabia and these countries. A significant portion of the deportees were individuals who had violated labor laws, including those working illegally or outside the terms of their visa agreements. Every year, millions of Muslims travel to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj and Umrah pilgrimages. While most pilgrims leave the country after fulfilling their religious obligations, some overstay their visas and remain illegally, seeking employment or permanent residence. In 2023, the Saudi government continued to deport individuals who had overstayed their pilgrimage visas as part of its broader efforts to regulate the movement of people in and out of the country. The Saudi government has been working to reduce the country's dependency on foreign workers as part of its broader economic vision, Vision 2030. Central to this plan is the Saudization policy, which mandates the replacement of foreign workers with Saudi nationals in many sectors of the economy, particularly in jobs that have historically been dominated by expatriates such as retail, hospitality, and construction. Number 1. United States. The United States of America is the world's third largest country in size, and nearly the third largest in terms of population. Located in North America, the country is bordered on the west by the Pacific Ocean, and to the east by the Atlantic Ocean. Along the northern border is Canada and the southern border is Mexico. The total population in the United States was estimated at 335.9 million people in 2023, according to the latest census figures and projections from Trading Economics. The U.S. deported around 250,000 to 300,000 people in 2023. This figure includes deportations for both immigration violations and criminal offenses, as well as the expedited removal of migrants who cross the border illegally under Title VIII. Up to 2.7 million people will lose protection from deportation in a second Trump administration if Donald Trump ends current immigration safeguards. New data show individuals in temporary protected status and other immigration programs could see their legal protection expire in the next 2 years. Trump officials could add millions of people to potential deportation rolls by allowing immigration safeguards, such as TPS, to end. Immigration enforcement personnel in a second Trump administration could find targeting long-time residents and workers an advantageous way to boost deportation numbers. One of the key reasons for the rise in deportations in 2023 was the significant increase in irregular migration, particularly at the southern border. The U.S. faced a sharp rise in the number of migrants from countries like Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Venezuela, as well as people from further afield like Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua. Immigration became a major political issue in 2023, with Republican-led states like Texas and Arizona leading lawsuits and putting pressure on the Biden administration to tighten border security and deport more migrants. These states, facing a heavy influx of migrants, argued that the federal government was not doing enough to enforce immigration laws and secure the border. In response to these pressures and public concerns about the management of the southern border, the administration ramped up deportations, especially of migrants who had no legal basis to remain in the U.S. This was seen as a way to respond to both political and public demands for stronger border enforcement. Deportations of vulnerable groups, including families and children, also sparked public outcry, particularly when individuals were sent back to countries with unstable conditions or widespread violence, such as Haiti and parts of Central America. The increase in deportations in 2023 drew criticism from human rights organizations and immigration advocates, who argued that the Biden administration's policies were too harsh, particularly for asylum seekers fleeing violence and persecution. Many criticized the return to Title VIII enforcement, which can result in 5 or 10-year bans on re-entry for deported individuals, making it harder for migrants to seek protection in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.